Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 19 of Pumping Iron, the review series for the classic muscle cars of GT6. And in this episode we're featuring one of my personal favourite muscle cars in the game, a car which, surprisingly to me anyway, doesn't seem to get as much use as I would have expected it to. Probably though because it's a little bit more obscure than some others, the kind of car that you could quite easily overlook in the dealerships unless you're specifically looking for it. And it's a car which has been in the Gran Turismo franchise for quite a while now, around a decade since its introduction on Gran Turismo 4. And this car is the Buick Special. It's based on a 1962 Buick Special, as the name suggests. The car's actually called BuWicked, and it's a custom show car given, I believe, the Gran Turismo trophy, and that was why it was included in the game. It's a non-paintable car, unfortunately, but thankfully it has a pretty cool two-tone colour anyway to make up for that. The overall appearance kind of reminds me of the classic Ford Thunderbird. It's one of the older shape muscle cars in the game, which is pretty readily apparent from the look of the car. It has that really classic low-rider gangster vibe to it. And back on Gran Turismo 4, this was actually a car which, although many people didn't realise it, you could actually start the game with this car. And considering how fast it is, it was pretty much the best car that you could start the game with, because back then you used to be able to download money onto the game if you'd played Gran Turismo 3. If you downloaded that money boost, you could start the game with this car because it only cost 50,000 credits, if I remember correctly. Now, 50 grand is ridiculously cheap for how good this car is, and Polyphony obviously noticed that, because now this car costs 750 grand. Now, to be honest, for any other muscle car, or pretty much any other muscle car, I'd say that 750 grand is a bit steep. Cars like the Trans Am Mustang, for instance, or the Pozzi Camaro, it's a bit steep considering how good and how all-round able those cars really are. This car, though, I have no problem with it having a 750 grand price. Obviously, it would be nice if it still only cost 50 grand, but it is certainly worth 750,000 credits. If you have not ever tried this muscle car, I urge you to do so. It is a fantastic car. It's one of the best, if not the best, all-round muscle cars in the game. It's got a 7.5 litre engine, which you can supercharge up to just under 850 horsepower. So it's not running the biggest numbers. It does produce a healthy amount of torque at 843 pound-feet, and it only weighs in at just over 1,100 kilos. So the power-to-weight ratio per tonne is an extremely good 759. And that's race car territory from a car from 1962. Now the PP is actually perfectly placed, I would say, for this car at 595. That means that this car actually has a lower PP than the Plymouth Cuda. This is a far better muscle car than the Plymouth Cuda. The Cuda isn't bad. I love the Plymouth Cuda. It has a fantastic top speed and many people don't realise just how good it is. But around a track, the Cuda does not stand a chance against the Buick Special, because this car has everything you need from a muscle car. It looks fantastic, it has more than enough power and torque, but it's also extremely lightweight, and for a muscle car, relatively compact. It's 15.5 feet long, or just under, and 5 foot 10 inches wide, so relatively small as far as muscle cars go. It also has an extremely low centre of gravity, amazing handling for a muscle car, not too surprising considering how much reworking has been done to its mechanicals, so much so that there's not really much left of the original 62 Buick Special, but still, it's a fantastic track car, and in some ways and on some tracks it can actually rival, and in some cases beat, a surprising level of racing cars. It has a top speed of in excess of 260, under its own power, making it one of the quickest muscle cars in the game. The acceleration is very strong thanks to the effortless torque and very, very high power. And the fact that it handles well also means that there's pretty much no other muscle car that can give this car a run for its money on so many categories of driving. Drag, drift, top speed, circuit, sprint, everything. This car does everything you need from a muscle car. So, yeah, 750 grand is a fair amount of money. But if there was ever a muscle car worth that, or to be honest, even double that, it's this one. In my opinion, possibly the greatest muscle car in the game overall. Not necessarily the best at anything, but so good at everything. So if you haven't tried this car, again, I would strongly urge you to give it a chance, because you will not regret it. And that's it for this episode, so I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.